Good morning, everybody. Okay, it is 8 o'clock. Good morning, Brother Schmeed. I see you on here. All right, let's get started this morning. Continuing our series titled From Me to We, closing out our relationship study this week. And man, this is a good one. Got a subject today that I think it's not a fun subject. I'm not gonna lie. It's not a fun subject, but it's one that needs to be covered when we're dealing with any relationship. And it's really quite simple. You go through scripture and there's all kinds of weird requests from the Lord, right? I mean, he asked, what was it, Abraham to sacrifice his son, right? What was it? Elisha told the prophet Elisha told the Naaman to go wash in the Jordan River 7 times to cure his leprosy, right? 7 times to cure his leprosy. And at first he was like, no, I ain't doing that. And then he finally did, and it worked. Wow, who'd have thought? But, how about this? Jesus himself spit on the blind man's eyes. And then another time, another blind man, he spit and made mud, put on the guy's eyes, and then told him to go wash in the spring of Siloam. Okay? Just weird requests. Okay? And you might be thinking, where are we going with this? God has a request that comes for all of us, that comes off every being. It's total opposite of everything we feel, we want, and is all about. You know what that is? I'll show you. Colossians 3:12 through 13. Colossians 3:12 through 13 says this. It says, God chose you to be his holy people. He loves you. You must clothe yourself with tender-hearted mercy, kindness, humility, gentleness, and patience. We've been talking about that the last 2 days. And here it is. Make allowances for each other's faults and forgive anyone who offends you. Remember, the Lord forgave you, so you must forgive others. Forgiveness. God asks us to forgive others. And that's not easy. That's especially not easy when the person who hurt us, the person who wronged us, was our spouse. The person we're supposed to be the closest to. That hurts. That cuts so deep and it hurts so hard. So today, I want to give you 5 tips. I say tips, but processes, maybe is a better word, for how to deal with forgiveness in a relationship. Okay? Because it's important. Forgiveness in a relationship, when you don't forgive your spouse or your significant other in your relationship, that brings up resentment. Resentment starts to build in that relationship. And when resentment builds, the lack of trust, the trust breaks down. And without trust and with resentment, you lack communication. You lack desires, physical desires for one another. You lack spiritual desires for one another. Everything starts to break down in a relationship. And it all goes back to forgiveness and harboring that hurt and that pain in your relationship and not releasing it. So 5 steps, if you will, to releasing it and defeating and applying forgiveness, as a better word, applying forgiveness to your relationship, okay? Step 1 is this, and this is probably one of the hardest ones, I say, is honestly share your hurt. If you're the one that's been wrong, now your spouse comes to you and admits their guilt, admits their inequities or whatever, and you're hurt, honestly share your hurt with them. Now, you do this for 2 reasons. Number 1, you put all the cards on the table. You literally lay it all out there. You be honest. You truthful. You put it all out there. A clean slate, transparency. You share your hurt. Now, the second side of that is this. If you're the one who's come to your spouse and man, I'm sorry, I did this, and they're explaining to you how you hurt them, You cannot get defensive about this. You know you did not intend to do that to them, but you did. So don't get defensive. You need to be receptive of their pain. You need to be receptive of their fears. And you've got to go to God with these things. You just have to. Because if the minute you are defensive, you're not receptive, and therefore they're going to shut down and stop being honest with their hurt. And you're going to have to start the whole process over again. Okay? So the first one is to be honest with your hurt, and as the other side, to be receptive and not defensive. Okay? The second one is this, and this is kind of a hard one. Forgiveness is a choice. It's not a feeling. Forgiveness is a choice we make. We choose to forgive someone. We will still feel hurt. We will still feel the pain, the stabbing, the cut, the wound, whatever. But we choose to forgive. We have to make that choice. Just like I choose to put on, weird analogy, I choose to put on the wrong pair of shoes today, I'm going to feel it the rest of the day, but I can't change my choice. I chose to put them on, right? Okay. The third one is this: plan a change. Plan for a change. What I mean by that is, if your spouse comes to you, I'm sorry, I did this. You honestly explain your hurt. They're receptive of your hurt. What y'all need to do is sit down prayerfully and go, how are we going to go through this? How are we going to build off of this? How are we going to learn from this and not allow it to happen again? Okay? Plan for a change. Plan those things out. Sit down and talk about it. Work your way to a better relationship. Guess what you're doing now? You're building the walls of communication that are going to keep this from happening again. You're building the walls of trust that are going to keep whatever it is from happening again. And those are all stem from forgiveness. Okay? Plan for change. Number 4, and this one is a good one. It goes back to forgiveness being a choice, okay? Stop the replay. And what I mean by that is, anytime in your brain the enemy throws it out there, well, they did this. Well, they did this back in the day. Oh, they wronged you over here. Well, the last time they went out with a group of guys, they got drunk, did whatever. Well, the last time she went out shopping with the ladies, she did this. Stop it. Shut off that dadgum replay. Okay? It's a choice. You choose to listen to that, or you choose to shut it off. Like I said, that's easier said than done. But when that creeps in your head, no, shut it off. Kick it out. Lord, I ain't doing that. I have forgiven her for that. It is gone, and we have a plan for how not to do it again. Shut off the replay. And number 5 is this. It takes time. It's not an immediate thing. Forgiveness is not it's a choice. You make the choice. I forgive you. But it takes time for those wounds to heal, where you can openly discuss, talk about, and not feel that pain. If that makes sense. I hope it does. It takes time. And you need to discuss these things with your spouse. This thought crept back in my head, and I'm not mad about it. I just want you to know that I kicked it out, and I prayed over it, and I'm I'm still hurt, but I forgave you, and I kicked it out, and I forget about it, and we're moving forward. But I'm being honest with you, and I want you to know that I thought about it today. So I love you. Here's your flowers. Whatever. I'm just saying. It takes time to heal. But those are 5 things for forgiveness that you can apply to your relationships, okay? And man, you just got to do it. Bottom line, you've got to forgive. It's scripture. God tells us to do it. And then he uses the whole guilt trip thing, for the Lord forgave you. So you've got to forgive others. You're like, oh man, no, I have to. But it's scripture. It's biblical. It's even in the Lord's Prayer. Lord, forgive me of these sins as I've forgiven others. So that's my daily drink for today. Apply these 5 things to your relationship. Honestly, share your hurts. Forgiveness is a choice. Make that choice to forgive. Plan a change with your spouse. Shut off the replay and give it some time. But be honest and communicate. Forgive. So that's my daily drink for today. Y'all be blessed, and we'll talk to you tomorrow. Coffee.